Hi everyone, Tom Loria here, and welcome to part 3 of making sails for ship models from Silkspan. In this part, you'll see that sail that we made in the first two parts. We're going to put that, we've got that up on the spars, and we're going to flake it down and stow it. So why don't we just get right into the video. You'll see how I do it. So the first thing we need to do is to wet the sail down a little bit, and just a couple of spritzes from the water bottle will do this. And you'll notice as soon as I take these two clips off of the halyards and I loosen things up a little bit, all of a sudden that paper sail becomes a lot more like real material. Starts to handle like it's got some mass and some weight to it, and it wants to drop just like a real sail would. And that's what you let it do. You work it all the way down the sails, try and get the folds as neat as possible, get them to run the whole length of the sail, as you see it done here, and just work it down until all the mast hoops are nice and close together on the mast, and make sure none of the folds have closed up on themselves like I had one on the port side there do to me. And once you've got that where you want it, the next thing to do is to hold the spars in place with something, like a clip, like a clothespin, and you're going to start rolling up all the excess. And you really want to try and roll that as tight as possible. And I thought I was doing a good job when I did it, but now that I look at the video, I definitely could have rolled that a lot tighter, and I would have had a lot less bulk to deal with later on. But for the purposes of this demonstration, and this is just to give you an idea of how it's done, not the definitive way to do it, because you're going to decide that for yourself based on the way you work. So here you see I've got a sail stop on, and it's just at this point it's just on there to keep the spars in place while I start manipulating the sail material. The idea here is to get all of that excess and get it to stay in between the two spars. That's where that rolling a little bit tighter than I did it would have really helped. You see that the sail material is overhanging both spars, and I want to try and get that in between the two of them as much as I possibly can. So that's not terrible, but it could have been better. But anyway, now if you've seen the first two parts of this series, you saw me making a Beetle catboat sail at 1/48 scale. And that sail was very small, and it presented a lot of problems for filming when it came time to do all this manipulation. Now you see my hands in the frame quite a bit. Well, with that tiny sail, all you saw was my hands, and it really didn't do any instruction at all, so I wound up having to go to a bigger sail. So I decided I was building a whaleboat model at 1/24 scale, so I thought that the rig from that boat, which was much bigger than the 1/48 Beetle Cat, would be just about the perfect thing to use for this demonstration, and thankfully I was right. So you've seen me manipulating the sail and putting more sail stops on. Now on this particular whaleboat, or the rig for this particular whaleboat, it had a loose-footed sail, a loose-footed gaff sail, and so that means it was only attached to the boom at the extremities, fore and aft, and that was it. Everything else in the middle was loose. So the one part of the sail, that last 2 inches that you see me playing with now, that would have been loose. It would have had some weight, and it probably would have hung down off of the boom. So here I'm trying to get it to hang down off the boom, and it's just really not cooperating. I don't know why, but it didn't want to cooperate. Finally, I had to resort to putting a little white glue in with the water, brushing it on there, and then using a hairdryer to set it to its final shape. And you'll see me shape it with the end of a paintbrush right there to get that little bit of catenary that I was looking for. And as the hairdryer dries it out, you see it gets a nice little bow to it, and it has the look of some weight and some mass, and that's what I was looking for. It kept misbehaving, but eventually I got it to stay where I wanted it, but it wasn't easy. So here you see me. I've got the sail pretty much where I want it. I'm not going to play with it a whole lot more at this point, so I'm going to tighten up the sail stops, and I'm going to draw both ends of the sail stop down and put a little clip on it so that they hang straight down. If I just cut them off the way they were, they'd be like an unruly hairdo. So I didn't want that. Oh, look, you see me trying to adjust that one spot in the sail once again. It really did not want to cooperate. Anyhow, now that I've got all the clips on there to add the weight to those sail stops, I can brush them with a little white glue and water and let them dry. Once they've dried thoroughly, they'll pretty much hang down in that straight down manner, and I can trim off the ends. You don't have to be careful about this. You don't have to make them both the same length. You don't have to make them any particular length at all. And there you have it. The sail's finished. And here are a few slides that show you what the finished sail might look like. This is a whaleboat model at 1/32nd scale, and this is pretty much the way the sail and the spars would look when they're in place. And there you have it. Silkspan sails for models from start to finish. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please give me any feedback you like in the comments. I'd love to know what you think, what I can do differently. If there's anything I haven't covered, let me know and we'll try and make a video of it. Thanks.